Stephen Roberts, welcome to the University
Thank you very
of
much.
Huddersfield.
Thank you.
Stephen, you're giving two talks today, one to an invited audience tonight, but this afternoon you talk to our students. The title of your talk was How Does a 325-year bank survive and thrive in the digital revolution? What did you tell them? What were your points?
Well, I suppose I started off telling them a little bit about me, because I've been on my own personal journey, and I think I wanted to get across how something happening like a digital revolution can have an impact on you as a person, and then how you respond to that. So I hope they got something out of that. I started off, I mean, I've been in the bank 25 years now, so that I'm an old man, and despite having done, well, I did a degree and a PhD in geophysics, which isn't the obvious route into banking, so I had to make a change there. The next real big change came about 2 years ago when I left I used to be the chief operating officer in the bank, and I thought I was pretty good one of those, but I didn't realise actually the world had moved on. I suppose I would have been, as I'd been a good wheelwright or something like that when there weren't any pneumatic tyres, and so I've had to change, and that reinvention, it was to explain a bit of that, and I hope some of that came across, because I've got quite passionate now about explaining what that means to you as a person, but also for the wider society, and this idea we have of not leaving people behind, but taking them with you in this industrial revolution. So I hope they just got a bit of that. They might have thought, he's a funny old bloke. What's he on about?
Oh no, I'm sure they didn't. But it's a fascinating subject because it's so fast moving.
Yeah.
How do you stay on top of it? Sure, and how do you invent something that hasn't changed a month later?
A lot of it is, I find it bewildering. So it isn't like I've got like a super brain. Every day I'm thinking, how the heck do you follow this stuff? The insights you get are from people, and they're from, one of the big things we learned early on is listen to all of the people who work with you. So we've got, 30,000 people in the UK work in Barclays, and if you can just harness that power, all that stuff that they've got, it's something incredible. So it's, first of all, was how do you harness that in a positive way? A lot of the time historically in the bank, and it's probably true to some extent, a lot of organisations, they're very sort of top down. So no one does anything right down at the coal face unless the person above says they can do it, and they're the filter for any good ideas and things like that. And we tried to blow that up and say anybody can have a fabulous idea. And we've opened up in a way where people, like you get TripAdvisor, where people say that's a good hotel and someone says, yeah, it is. And it's like that with the ideas. So someone in a branch says, I think I've got this really fabulous idea to do this. And it might be something tiny, like the coin bags, make them out of different plastic or something like that. And people go, I think that's fabulous. And as soon as you start getting enough likes, it's typically 20, by the way, in the bank. We know there's something really good going on, and we just do it. Now that's completely different to how it was before when no one did anything. We pushed stuff out the branch and said, you're going to have a coin bag that looks like this, or you're going to have whatever. And turning that around is like invigorating, very different.
Is it chicken and egg? Do you come up with an idea and then think, no, we've made a mess of that?
No, so it's a nice thing, chicken and egg. We call it evolution. Like an evolutionary tree where you start off and a species goes over you and it might thrive for a certain time, or the climate changes and then it dies out. But it'll grow some characteristics that are important that will be inherited by another species. So we're really keen that even the crazy things, we learn from them, and something good will come. Someone will notice something and we try them out. So a lovely example of that, we bought 10,000 iPads. It's still, I think, the largest private purchase of iPads in the world. And we thought, what a brilliant idea, we'll give them to all of the colleagues, all the branch managers and relationship managers, and they'll love them. And it'll be like the first time people had company cars. And it didn't turn out like that at all. People didn't take them out of their boxes, they didn't use them. And we thought, this isn't what's supposed to happen at all. But we went out and talked to them and listened to them and found there was a big portion of the colleagues who said, actually, I'm really frightened and bewildered and I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to put my hand up to say, I really don't know what all this is about, all this digital stuff. You're pushing too much stuff, I haven't got time to think about it. And out of that led to the Digital Eagles, because we had to find a way of helping people.
Yeah.
So we went from something that we thought this is a good idea, then found we went into the depths of despair when it didn't turn out how we asked, but that drove us to find a solution. And out of that came a completely different idea.
Yes, the Digital Eagles, because technology does move so fast, and there's there'll be elements of the population. I don't just mean older people, but there'll be elements of the people, young people like yourself, who are
Praise will get you everywhere.
There'll be something comes along and they'll not know what to do with it, will they?
No.
And is that what Digital Eagles is about?
It's exactly, and I suppose it comes back to that thing I talked about where it's not thinking that one person is the clever one. When you've got 30,000 people, much better to solve a problem by asking all 30,000 than saying, hey, you clever one or two people, you tell us the answer. So the whole idea of the Digital Eagles, when you said, how do I keep up? And I'm thinking, I don't need to, I've got 27,000 people who are all trying to keep up. They're going to keep up by telling each other, like this idea of the power of the hive, and it's how we utilize that. So I'm confident we can keep up if we engage enough people and make them feel as though they can tell anybody. So,
and what's it done for Barclays?
Well, you can see real things where the power of the brand, we have more people now who would bank with Barclays than we had before the Digital Eagles. So you could like a brand net promoter score, which is a big plus. It's helped us with all sorts of places we didn't expect. So organisations coming to ask us, could we help them become digitally savvy? And this is moving from several years ago where we had all the LIBOR issues and all of the bad things that became associated a lot with our investment banking side. It's rebuilding what the brand means in the UK and what happened for real people. So I was explaining, I think in the lecture, we've run 2,500 tea and teach events for older customers and non-customers as well, because we say it doesn't matter whether you're a customer or non-customer, helping them to get online and breaking loneliness through showing them how to do Skype and things. So we don't teach them how to do banking stuff online, it's other stuff. Because we think once they're engaged, they'll decide themselves whether it's the right thing to do, but it must be a help to do that. We've got, I think, several hundred now running code playgrounds. You've got one in Huddersfield that runs in the local branch. So these are for the 7 to 13-year-old kids to learn how to code. So once a month, the branch of an evening will be full up with blue bean bags, and in will come loads of little kids learning how to code in Scratch. And who knows where that'll go next. We're hoping to move into like the maker type stuff. So I don't know if you've come across Raspberry Pi. You probably have the cake. Ooh. I mean, Raspberry Pi, the computers that, and the 3D printers and those things. And very excitingly, in September, do you know about the BBC microbit?
No, tell us.
Every single child age 11, and I think it's 11, will be given for free. It looks like a little baby Raspberry Pi. The BBC call it the microbit. So 800,000 of them in the UK. It's going to be the equivalent of, you're probably age similar to me, you remember the BBC Micro in schools.
Yes. When
for that moment in time, the UK was at the forefront of the personal computer industry in the whole world. It was before the first IBM PCs came out. The company that produced those were Acorn Computers in Cambridge. What's a nice turn of events, the directors of that company then set up a company called ARM, who ARM now are the company that produce the chips that go into every mobile phone in the world. And they're supplying the chips for this little BBC microbit. And what's the connection with Barclays? We're right at the centre of the launch of that. So we hope we'll be rolling that out into the Code Playground. We've helped fund the programme to do it. We'll be part of the publicity. It's another thing where we can be part of this digital revolution.
And another part of that is I believe it's called Idea Creative. Idea
Ampersand
Centre.
idea.
That's it, yes. Idea Centre of Excellence.
Yeah.
Which it is, as I understand it, taking on board ideas, creative ideas, digital creative ideas, from 14 to 25-year-olds. You're a board member of this. Just tell us a bit about it.
Well, the Duke of York is the sponsor of it, and he puts a lot of the energy in. Bob Cryan here is also on the board, and that's their connection. And it's really encouraging kids who were sort of just before leaving school to want to become entrepreneurs in the digital space. And so we're aiming to get 1 million children over the next 5 years to have entered into this program. You have like an upside down pyramid. The kids typically will form in groups of 2 to 3. They'll be given some mentoring and some coaching to form an idea, hence the idea. And then they'll go through some judging and get to a smaller number. Those smaller number will be given some coaching and mentoring and much more one-on-one advice for the teams of 2 to 3. Then they'll go through, and ultimately you'll get to 50 of these groups a year who will get very strong support, get some cash to develop the ideas, and I think it's 10 out of that 50 get some quite substantial cash and some support from organisations like Barclays to turn these ideas into reality. Now, who knows, we might create another Facebook or something out of that 1 million kids to go through. That isn't the ambition. The ambition is for those 1 million kids to get an appreciation of what the digital world's about, but also some of that entrepreneurial spirit. So that's what it's all about. And it runs twice a year. I think it's twice a year. Well, we've done 2 for the first year, and we'll keep looking and change it. And we flexed and changed which partners we work with and things already. But the Digital Eagles have been mentors and supporters, and we've also involved some of the corporate bankers to get some of that financial feel as well.
The University of Huddersfield, inspiring tomorrow's professionals.